Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So would everybody please rise? And Councilman Lupinacci, would you lead us tonight?
My pleasure. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone, to this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Tonight's meeting is a Town Board work session, and the date is Wednesday, September 13th, 2017. At 6:30 p.m., the Town Board met in executive session with Councilman Schneider to discuss a contractual matter. And we convened the meeting out here at 7:08 p.m. For the record, all board members are present with us this evening. Councilwoman McDonough will be joining us momentarily. She just had to step out to take a call. Also with us tonight, Greg Fulchetti, all the way down to my left, is the Carmel Town Council, our town attorney. Mike Simone is here also, our highway superintendent. Mike, thanks for joining us. And we have John Fulchetti, our town consulting engineer, with us as well. So let's get started. So the first item on the agenda is a review of the Town Board minutes of September 6th, 2017. Any Town Board members like to discuss those minutes? If not, we're going to move on. So item number one on the work session agenda is we have with us Walker Parking Consultants of New York, New York. And this would be a review of a proposal by the parking consulting firm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to defer now to Councilman Schneider, who is going to say some opening remarks before he passes over to the parking consultants that we have with us this evening. Jonathan?
Thank you, Supervisor. About 10 years ago, when I had come back into town from my service in the military, I had noticed that there was a lot of issues with the downtown parking. When I was in some civic organizations, it was something that was addressed over and over again. Sat on the board for the Chamber of Commerce. We addressed it as some concerns. We had, at that time, worked with the town to try to identify some properties. This was about 7 years ago, and nothing really came to fruition. We lost an opportunity on another property that was available about 5 years ago. I know the supervisor has been working for about 12 years trying to get a property pinned down, and I think it's time that we as a town start to really look at how we're going to be able to provide parking in the downtown hamlet of Mahopac. So one of the first steps to take that was suggested was to first look at identifying some parcels, and second, to bring in some professionals to help us with some consulting and make sure that they're feasible spots. We followed those recommendations. I'd spoken with a few different engineering firms that all basically told me the same thing, is when it comes to parking, work with someone who specifically does parking. I had spoken with a firm that was out of Philadelphia, another firm out of Boston, another firm out of Manhattan. Two of those firms had given proposals. I had spoken with both of them back and forth in regards to a couple of clarifying matters for our scope project. And in the end, it was Walker Parking Consultants who came in with the lowest price on the professional proposal. And we had worked back and forth. I've been working with Dr. Carrie Krasnow, who's present with us today, representing Walker Parking Consultants. And I think we're at a stage now where we're ready to at least work on identifying some parcels, seeing what we are possibly looking at for any type of solution that we could have for a surface parking lot, whether it be one that's right there on the surface, or we look at doing one that is going to be multi-story. Additionally, some of the items that we had discussed, which were recommendations from the town board, were in regards to if we look at doing paid parking or we keep it where we don't have paid parking. A lot of different variables that we had been discussing in regards to residents or long-term, in regards to day parking, hourly parking, and Carrie's been very receptive to all of the concerns that we addressed and been very responsive in regards to any of the concerns that we had. And now we're ready to take the next step, and that's what Carrie's here for, to kind of go over the qualifications of Walker, go over the proposal for us, and then we'll see what the next steps are from there. So, okay, Carrie, thank you again for being here with us.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Dr. Krasnow, thank you for joining us this evening, and we're all anxious to hear your presentation and your proposal in regards to parking solutions for downtown Mahopac.
Great, well, thank you. It's nice to be here this evening. I wanted to just say a little bit, I want to give you a little bit of background on Walker, since we're new to you guys. Tell you a little bit about Walker and about the team that we have for the project, and then just talk more specifically about how we see the project and what we've scoped to do to help you take the next steps with your parking system. So Walker was founded in 1965, so we're 50-plus years old. We are, as far as we've ever been able to figure out, the first firm in the world to decide to specialize in parking and the impact of cars on the built environment. We are now also, 50 years in, we're the largest firm in the world that specializes in this. We've got 280 staff and 17 offices in the US and overseas. Because we're a large firm and an old firm, we have a very, very broad staff that covers everything related to parking. So we started as a structural engineering firm that designed garages, but we've evolved over the years into a firm that does all aspects of consulting, and we hire specialists. We have whole teams of people who specialize in not just in engineering and design, which is part of this project, or at least design is part of this project, but also in the technologies of parking, the meters and the things that help control parking. We have urban planners, we have financial analysts, we have people who have backgrounds in parking management who have come from cities where they've actually run parking. So we have all of the specialties within our firm that allow us to look holistically at a parking system, not just at design issues, not just at urban planning issues, but at what it really means to figure out how to run a parking system. And I think because this project really entails introducing a parking system for the first time, I think all of those specialties come into play. And with that in mind, the team that I have put together for this specific project includes myself and two of my colleagues who bring a variety of expertises to the project. I am the vice president for the New York office at Walker. I've been with the firm for 20 years. My background is in the urban planning aspect, in parking management, in how to achieve a balanced and healthy parking system. I also do a lot of work in financial analysis and what it costs to run parking, how parking generates revenues, what it costs to construct parking, all of the financial decisions that go into operating a parking system. So I would be working on this sort of management and financial part of the project. I have asked a colleague to join me who is one of the colleagues at Walker who did come from an operations background, and he has more than 20 years of experience, a very seasoned expert both in consulting and before he became a consultant, had run the parking for several cities, both in the Northeast and in the South, in cities that are sadly probably underwater right now. But he has a very strong background in operations, in how you organize a parking system, what the administration of a parking system means, and he works with clients very specifically on the nuts and bolts of instituting a parking system, whether it's a paid system or it's a time-limited system with enforcement. That is his expertise, is to help you create the day-to-day operation in a parking system. And his name is Brian Bartholomew. My colleague Dave Vanderwall is an engineer who has been with Walker for over 30 years and who is an engineer who does parking design, and specifically the kind of concept design, master planning level that we're looking at here, and what we call alternatives analysis, which is to look at a bunch of different sites and figure out what works, what's the best option. So he does the design work. So that's the team that we've organized for the project. And again, we see this, you have a small area, but there's a lot that goes into trying to create a coherent system, and figure out where to put parking and how to operate it. So those are the three specialties that we've brought to bear. In terms of what the project entails, we've divided the scope of services into three sections. And the first section, as John was talking about, is really about how can you add to your parking system? And you guys are looking for off-street parking opportunities. and you need to be able to figure out what makes the most sense. And so the first part of what we've scoped is really to look at different opportunities to develop surface parking and tell you which ones make sense from a layout perspective. And that includes what's an efficient site, what's even a feasible site, because sometimes they're just too narrow or there's some problem. You're really not going to be able to get a worthwhile site. So we look at what's developable as parking, what's good from the perspective of circulation, getting in from the streets, what's good for pedestrians who need to be able to get places from there. We're going to look at up to 5 sites, depending on how many you identify as having potential for development in the future. And we're going to give you a kind of rundown on how each of the sites works or doesn't work, and give you an opinion as to what we think is the best site or the 2 best sites that we think are worth pursuing. Once we've done that, we are going to, my colleague Dave is going to give you a layout for how the lot would work. Ingress and egress, where you could put equipment if you're going to have paid parking and you need to be able to put meters or some kind of revenue control system. He'll look at how you accommodate ADA accessible parking, which is a requirement obviously and important in any community. Electric vehicle charging, whatever parameters need to be designed into the lot, he's going to give you that conceptual design. I do want to be clear, we are not scoping to do the engineering. We're recommending in our proposal that the civil engineering firm that you work with or your in-house civil engineer, whoever does your civil engineering, would do the construction documents. So we would essentially create a striping plan and an equipment plan, and somebody would give you the grading and the formal construction documents for that. So I just want to be clear that that's not part of our proposal. Once we've established through what our recommended sites are, and once you've decided to go forward with a specific site, the next part of our proposal is really to help you think through questions related to the management and operation of a parking system. So we would work with you on trying to establish whether you want and whether it makes sense in this context to have paid parking, whether you want to try and enforce parking through time limits, how you deal with parking needs for employees and residents who need longer-term parking than really you're supposed to have in your core downtown. So we're going to work with you to try and create a plan for operating the parking. And there's a lot of ways to do this. We'll talk to you about sort of equipment and ways that you can deal with enforcement, how you set up a department, but there's a lot to look at in terms of getting a parking system operational. And there's many permutations. It doesn't have to be a paid system, but a paid system is a very effective system too. It achieves very good goals, and people tend to think of it as just to haul in revenue, to pay, you know, but it really was designed, the first parking meter was designed to create turnover. Duncan Meters in like 1935 or something in Oklahoma created the first parking meter with the goal of keeping spaces turning over for people who want to shop and go to restaurants. And so it's a very useful way of creating parking where you need it for your customers. And that's ultimately, you know, what your downtown is about. So that is the second portion of this. We'll look at equipment options and all of the technologies that go into it. And then finally, the third part of our proposal is to work with you on financial analysis. And it's early to do a very detailed financial analysis. We're not going to have all the data that you need to do a very, very detailed analysis, but we'll give you a sense of if you install the equipment, for example, and you're bringing in revenue, what we think you can generate in revenue compared to what we think it's going to cost you to operate the system, to set it up, and to have enforcement and all of the other expenses that go with operating parking, and let you understand from a budget perspective what a paid parking system would mean. So that's kind of the 3 portions of the project. I think with that, I'll open it up to questions and see if you have any questions about the scope or would like me to fill in any more details on what we're planning.
Okay. Thanks, Carrie. Jonathan, did you want to add anything at this point to Carrie's presentation?
No, I think she
She covered.
pretty much covered everything
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and I can't think of much more that I know of. And I believe that's really why we as a board are looking to get this
Yeah.
study done, because there's so much more knowledge that we can gather, and we really need the information to make at least an informed and
Yeah.
intelligent decision towards what we're going to do.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if the board has any other
Yeah,
questions.
no, and I made this statement earlier when we spoke to you in executive session, that we desperately need parking, municipal parking in downtown Mahopac. There's virtually isn't any town-owned property that we can say is municipal parking for, those looking to patronize the merchants downtown. And really, that's what we need to do, is keep flow going, allow people to come, shop, but we have to provide a place for them to park. And, one of the main complaints that I've gotten over the years since I've been here is the issue with parking. There's just not enough, and it's actually gotten worse. It's grown since then, since the past 10 years, because there's more cars, there's more traffic, there's more pedestrians. So that's what our goal and our objective is, to find additional parking, look for solutions, different locations that might be suitable for that. And that's one of your tasks, is to find a location. We'll give you 5 points that we might, would consider for parking in downtown Mahopac, locations that could possibly be used for that. And you'll be studying those locations, examining them, and if there's any other alternatives or any options we missed, or any locations that we may have missed, if you feel free to point those out while you're doing your your research in the field, in Mahopac. So really, that's something we're trying to achieve. I know the Chamber of Commerce would love to see the town have additional parking there. Mike, right? Mike is the new chairman and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. He's with us tonight. Thanks for being here, Mike. And that's something that the Chamber's been talking about for years as well.
Just had the conversation today.
Did you? Yeah. So there you go. So we're going to work together, and the Chamber actually, we'll pull the Chamber in too, because maybe there's some ideas and thoughts that we may have missed, or maybe locations that might be suitable that you may want to recommend. We're fine with that. So any input we can get, we're willing to listen to and perhaps, examine to see if that's something we may want to consider. So, yeah, so we're excited about this. This is something that, we'd like to get moving on. And thank you for being here tonight and giving your presentation to the town, and the board as well. So, anything else, Jonathan, that you want to add? We do have a proposal. Yes, Mike?
Is this a project that's been given out to be studied? Is that what this is?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we
No.
haven't. This is
A proposal for a project that we would still need to vote on to authorize an expenditure on. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a proposal. We're just presenting it at this point, but the board still has
yeah,
to
study.
accept the proposal for the study.
Okay.
Thanks, John. Yeah. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any questions while the consultant is here? While Parker Parking Solutions is here? At this time, come on up. Okay, there's none. Board, does the board have any further questions for Walker at this time?
No?
All right,
Thank you so much for your time.
so we'll be in touch.
Okay, great.
All righty. Thanks so much
Very
for being
much.
here. Okay. All right, so that's good. So that's something that, thank you, Councilman Schneider, for doing the research on this.
No, I mean,
and a
I
lot
have
of
to
the-
thank
A lot of
Honorable
the,
Greg Fulchetti for guidance, yourself, Kenny, for guidance, support of the board. I mean, without us working together, it's not going to happen, so. And thank you, Dr. Krasnow, for your time.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, Jonathan, thanks a lot. So more to come on this as we move forward. All right. Okay, so the next item on the work session agenda number 2 is to consider a 30-day waiver of notice of requirement in Section 64 of the New York State Alcohol Beverage Control Law with respect to a liquor license for M&M Isabella LLC, DBA Aesop's? I think? Aesop's, I'm sorry, Aesop's Fable. This is at 825 South Lake Boulevard in Mahopac, New York. So you have a board, you have in your packet, in your backup, you have a letter from the attorney with an application that has been completed, filled out, and closed herewith is a 30-day notice to the municipality as part of the Liquor Authority license. The above-mentioned applicant, M&M, respectfully requests that you consider a 30-day waiver of the application, can be filed as soon as possible. The premise is currently known as Il Laghetto Restaurant, and it has been in business since 2014 without incident. So it's Il Laghetto is is, I guess they're changing their name to Aesop's Fable. So they're looking for the 30-day waiver, and this is something that we do for businesses that are beginning and requesting that the town board waive the 30-day response and comment period for the liquor license. So Greg and I reviewed the application on yesterday, and it's completed. All the boxes have been, all the questions have been answered, and I'm going to open it up to the board. Does the board have any questions for this application? Susie, this is the Il Laghetto.
Yes.
It's changing their name, I guess, for this new restaurant, so. Okay. All right, Greg, so you'll take care of the resolution next week?
Send that for next week.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda, number 3, Glenn Drosy, the town assessor. This is to consider a request to attend the New York State Assessors Seminar. The date's October 1st through October 4th in Lake Placid, New York. The approximate cost is $290 after New York State reimbursement. And you have a memo here from Town Assessor Glenn Drosy. I would like permission to attend the New York State Assessors Association annual meeting and seminar in Lake Placid, October 1st through October 4th. The seminar provides for classroom learning and credits towards New York State required continuing education. The total initial cost to the town for the travel, room, and tuition is $1,251.76. The State Education Services will reimburse the town for some of the cost. Based on the past year's reimbursements, I estimate the final cost to the town will be $290, attached to the seminar registration applications and tentative schedule. The town assessor has attended this seminar in the past, and the state has reimbursed the town a significant amount towards the total costs of the lodging, food, and the tuition at that seminar. Those $290 will be the estimated cost after the reimbursement from the state. Board have any questions, comments, concerns about the assessor attending this conference in Lake Placid? Susie, John? No. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, number 4, Lake Cassie Park District. This is to consider request to authorize and distribute their 2017 fall newsletter. Board, you have the copy of their newsletter with you. And as always, and they do an amazing job, the Lake Cassie Park District people, the members of the committee, the advisory board, and they put together an amazing quarterly newsletter that the town has to authorize. Since we're trustees of the park districts, we have to authorize this being sent out to all the residents in the park district and any costs associated with it. Any costs that we may have in mailing this out, postage and labor, actually preparing it to be mailed out is covered by is out of the cost of the district. So the district funds this, and I just wanted to show you a copy of the cover of the newsletter. It's just something that they do on a quarterly basis, and they do a great job doing it. Any questions, comments, concerns about the Lake Cassie Park District newsletter? No? Okay, next, number 5, Lake Mahopac Park District. Lake Mahopac Park District, consider request to authorize and distribute their 2017 fall newsletter. So the first one was the Lake Cassie Park District. This is now the Lake Mahopac Park District, which covers the properties around Lake Mahopac. And their newsletter, I held up Lake Cassie, so I'm going to hold up the cover of the Lake Mahopac Park District newsletter. It's very informative. This is to allow the residents to become familiar and with what's going on around Lake Mahopac. There's a carp here on the front cover. So we did institute carp back into Lake Mahopac a couple of months ago, 1,500 additional triploid carp, and they went to work right away. And a lot of residents are telling me they noticed that the algae is starting to disappear around their lakefront property and their docks and things like that, the swim areas. So that's good. So the carp are doing what the job they were designed to do, or bred to do. So that's in here, and they talk about the zebra mussels. We do have a zebra mussel issue in Lake Mahopac. They started showing up several years ago, and they've really multiplied quite a bit. And they do create some issues for us with our water districts as well, with intakes and things like that, that we have to send divers down occasionally to clean out the intakes of our water systems, because the zebra mussels attach themselves to it and creates a problem with that. So we do have to, clean those from time to time. So, but they're in the lake. There's not a lot we can do about them. Zebra mussels, somebody introduced them into the lake, probably on the bottom of a boat that was in another body of water that had them in it.
The muskrats eat it, the muskrats.
The muskrats? Yeah, we don't have enough muskrats to eat all those, but they do, you're right. Yeah, they do eat them, but, so somebody pulled their boat out of a body of water somewhere, launched it in the Lake Mahopac with zebra mussels on it, and that's probably how they took off and became part of our lake, which they're horrible, but we just gotta live with them for the time being until they come up with a method on how to eradicate those and get rid of those also, but. We talked about it talks about the carp. Navigation and safety reminders are in here for those users of the lake, which there are many. Aquatic vegetation biomass study that was done. Kayaking, there's now kayak classes on Lake Mahopac, sponsored by the Town of Carmel Parks and Recreation. I think they have 10 or 12 kayaks that you could sign up for a class if you'd like to do kayaking on Lake Mahopac. We've entered into a partnership with Mahopac Schools. We're actually utilizing the lakefront property that is owned by the Mahopac School District. There's an agreement to allow us to use that for our classes, our kayaking classes. And the kayaks are actually stored at that location as well. So we are partnering with the lake, with the school district to use their property to run some of our programs out of, which is good. Talks a little bit about the geese on the lake as well. But yeah, it's a very informative newsletter that's going to be going out to all the residents of that park district. And I think there's 480 some odd residents that actually live in that park district that will be receiving this newsletter. Any questions, comments? Are you part of it? Do you get the
No,
newsletter?
actually, I've been commenting on it for 8 years now. I think that the carp is imperative that it continuously gets restocked. I think instead of trying to do a huge dose at once and 15 years later we get, we have to systematically be putting 150 in every year. And I think that would be something great for you guys to try to work with as liaisons.
Yeah. Well, looking down.
And I'm not going to read any more of the newsletter for you.
Yeah, a maintenance program.
Absolutely,
But-
yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I agree, Jonathan. That's something that we should definitely pursue and consider. And I apologize. John Lupinacci and Susie McDonough are the liaisons to the Park District. So I probably should have just passed this over to you and said, here, you and Susie cover it. But,
I would have just said newsletter, I wouldn't have read it, but it's okay.
oh, you wouldn't have went into the detail like I did, or? Oh, all right. Okay, so maybe that's why I kept it. All right, so we covered that. Five is covered. Mike Simone, our highway superintendent, Mike Simone, is here for 6, 7, and 8. Mike, thanks for joining us. Number 6 is to consider request to extend the contract for tree services, and the name of the company is Tri-State Forestry Incorporated. Mike?
Right. As it states here, we entered into this contract in 2014, and we renew it each year. Looking for the board to renew this. It's not tree services. What it is a tub grinder that we get once a year when we do need it. Sometimes we need it more when we have some severe storms and we have a lot of trees down. The tub grinder comes in and grinds the wood down to sawdust, basically, and takes up less area and less, I guess, intrusive to wherever it is. So, but again, we'd like to renew the contract for the original contract price of $214 and continue it for the following year.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great, Mike. And that tub grinder does an amazing job.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's in the budget. What we do is a continued, as you said, maintenance plan. Every year we go through and do it. But it's nice to also have it on a bid item, so that if we do get hit with, well, we got hit with Sandy and Irene and such like that, when we have it, which at that point, it may, if FEMA comes in, it's reimbursable. They love to see a bid item that's reimbursable, so it's already taken care of, so.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Thank you, Mike. Any questions, comments for the highway superintendent regarding this item? Okay, Mike, thanks. Number 7 is to consider request to purchase road salt from the New York State Office of General Services contract list.
I hate to say this, but guess what?
That's
It's right around the corner, yep.
Yeah.
Again, New York State releases its contract September 1st. The contract has been released. It's down a little bit, which is a good thing. and hopefully winter won't hit us the way the almanac says it's gonna hit us, because that could be a bad thing, so, but we do have to have road
Well,
salts in
We'll be-
place.
We'll be prepared.
We'll be prepared, exactly.
Great. All right, thanks, Mike. All right, any questions, comments for Mike regarding the salt bid? Or the contract price for the salt? No? Okay, good. All right, Mike, next, and your final item, consider request to purchase road microsurfacing services from the New York State Office of General Services from the contract list.
Again, this is a surfacing treatment that we use. We used to use it a while ago. The company that we used to use out of Tuxedo, New York, went to Florida, and whatever happened, they fell apart, and they did not come back. A new company out of that is on New York State bid out of the Albany area, Gorman, has a microsurfacing, and what it is a road that I have done, and I have done the hot-in-place recycling. Rather than put a full 1.5 or 2-inch overlay on it, and the road I looked to use it on is Guymer Drive, it had all checked and seemed to be falling apart in certain spots. I did hot-in-place recycling, and what this is a 1/4 to 1/2 inch, what they call microsurfacing, that is about 1/3 the price of blacktop, that is above a driveway sealer, has a higher rated, so that you can plow it, have a lot of traffic on it. But it's gonna give our road there a lot of life for the next 7 to 10 years. So it's another tool we use rather than blacktop. There's different stuff out there, so. They're back in business. I'd like to try it. Think it's a good product. I've seen it down in Putt Valley, worked, so.
Great.
Yep.
If you're good with it, we're good with it, Mike. So
Okay.
that's wonderful. All right, any questions, comments? The highway superintendent regarding this item? No? Okay, great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, next item on the agenda number 9, Police Chief Mike Kazari. This is to consider request to reimburse an educational stipend for Police Officer Brian Detz, and it's for $900. And this is per the contract, per the PBA collective bargaining agreement. They do get tuition reimbursement, so the chief has submitted, Officer Brian Detz has earned a bachelor's degree in business administration and an associate's degree in applied science. Both degrees are from the College of Westchester in White Plains, New York. P.O. Detz will reach his 1-year anniversary on September 22nd. Thank you for your consideration. So this is something that we do. The officer just has to submit that he successfully has completed the college courses that he took, and he has. The chief provided those for us. So this is something standard that we do for the PBA members when they complete their college courses. Any questions, comments regarding the tuition reimbursement? Susie? No. John? No. Okay. Frank? No. Jonathan? No. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, number 10, Rich Franzetti, PE, Town Engineer. This is to consider a request to attend the Southeast New York State Stormwater Conference on October 18, 2017 at the Duchess Manor, and the cost is $125. Rich?
Good evening. Now, for some reason, my thing is not here.
And Rich is here, the engineer is here for 10, 11, 12, and 13, so the 4 remaining items.
So as Supervisor mentioned, there's a program attached to the backup I gave to the board for the Southeast New York Stormwater Conference. It's a 1-day seminar for $125. It's something that we need to do just to keep on top of these things here in the engineering department. There are sufficient funds in the engineering department budget, and I respectfully request permission to attend.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments for the engineer regarding the request to attend the seminar? Okay, there being none, Rich, go on to number 11. This is to consider request to award a bid for the purchase of a town vehicle. This is a 2017 Ford Explorer.
I'm going to have to ask somebody to provide me a copy of that backup because I don't have it here.
Backup?
Sorry.
Sure.
Apologize. I have it, Ann, thanks. Yes. Bids were solicited for the reference matter, which is the purchase and maintenance of a Ford Explorer on Thursday, September 7th. The town clerk opened the bids from Park Ford of Mayapack in the amount of $39,411. The proposed purchase is for one 2017 Ford Explorer. The details are provided in the memo. And includes a standard Ford Model 2017 warranty and Ford Protection Maintenance Plan, and it's for 5 years, $150,000. A bid is contained a service element, and we received confirmation from the Controller's Office that funds are available for the purchase. So this is something that was budgeted for and that we're able to have.
Okay, so just for full disclosure, this is replacing my old car. I have a 2008 Ford Expedition.
Yes.
With high mileage, and it's had some mechanical issues. So I figured it's time. I held off as long as I could because I really didn't want a new car. But I guess we're to the point now where I need transportation, and my car we'll keep the car. We're going to keep the car in the fleet. My old car is going to be assigned to engineering, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Because the engineer consulting, the project's coordinator, his car
Is
in
a
rough
lot
shape.
older and has more mileage than yours, so.
Right, so his car is in worse shape than mine.
Correct.
And so mine's going to him, and this car will be for my use.
Okay, just a question, decals
Decals?
on them?
There's no plan to put decals on my car, the car that I'll be using.
Okay. Well,
What about some ghost decals? Carmel Supervisor along the side, only you could see it in the reflection at night.
We could,
you know how I
we could
feel.
probably talk about the reason why, but I think you know why.
No, I know, I just ask every year.
No, good, I'm glad you asked that, Sue, and I had an answer for you, because I knew you were going to ask
I
it.
know.
Anybody else? Want to break them a little bit? Well,
Drive safely. And I think it's great that we got the 5-year, 150,000-mile warranty on it. I think it's a no-brainer. I think every vehicle that we're purchasing should be included in things like that,
yeah.
especially
no,
with the amount of miles that our employees put on these
I think it
vehicles.
was, yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you, Jonathan. For the extra cost, it's well worth it.
And it's nice to be able to do business with a local
Local,
company, too.
yeah.
Are we going to have GPS in it?
Would you like me to put GPS in it?
No,
What?
no, what
No,
happened?
there's GPS.
The other ones that
Yes.
we purchased, yeah, I had this to talk about with the
Yeah,
GPS. 'cause
they're
they
in
were
them.
They are
They're
in them.
installed.
Thank
I've
you.
been monitoring them.
This is the same package.
The highway superintendent assisted us.
With
for
the GPS,
Actually,
okay.
with the vendor. I met with the
Oh.
vendor with Mike, and we installed, I think we got 7 of them, so. So the
Okay.
four new cars,
Yep.
the Escapes, the engineering car, the building inspector's car, Mike
Yeah.
Carnazza.
So they're not done at the factory or at the
No,
dealer? They're
no, it's an
done
aftermarket,
Okay.
aftermarket install.
Yeah,
And
all
there were
right,
a couple other cars.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
all of our fleet
Has
now
them.
has them.
perfect.
And and we'll have the capability of, the data that is generated by the systems, the
Yeah.
GPS, is stored
Good,
in a
all right.
computer, so. And I have the
Perfect.
capability of reviewing. All right, is there any further questions or comments on this item? Nope, there being none. Next item, number 12, is to consider request to adopt the project for asset management plan. This is the New York State DEC Municipal Sewer System Asset Management Program. This is a grant award at no cost to the town. Rich?
So as the board is aware, the town of Carmel was selected by the New York State DEC to participate in the Municipal Sewer System Asset Management Program at no charge. It's to develop an asset management plan for Carmel Sewer Districts 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the future goal will be to extend the development of asset management plans for the remaining sewer districts and all water districts. Attached for the board's consideration is the chartering document for the town to adopt as we move forward with the pilot project. So it's up to the board to want to move forward with it if they'd like.
Okay, town board, any questions, comments for the engineer regarding this program for the asset management plan?
I think it's great that we are part of the pilot program. I sat in on one of the meetings, and it's something that we were specifically referencing last week, so to see it moving forward. I think our next meeting is next week, right?
So the date is, that they have not officially confirmed. John's been asking all day. I thought it was the Thursday, the 21st. I
thought
put
it was
down
the 22nd.
And it was the 22nd, but
Okay.
they're gonna maybe move it to Thursday, the 21st, so I hope that's not a problem. But it's one of those 2 days next week.
Okay. No, I just think it's great that we're moving forward with it, and I agree, we should definitely be utilizing this as a, almost as a benchmark for what we're gonna do for all of our inventories through our facilities. It's a great start.
Yeah, and actually, the site visits were started today. They met with the operators at Carmel Sewer District 4. They're going to Carmel Sewer District 7 tomorrow, and then they'll hit Carmel Sewer Districts 5 and 6. So,
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rich. All right, the final item this evening, number 13, is to consider request to authorize change order number 2 for Long Pond Road Improvement District. This is the roadway reconstruction project, and it's contract number C-238. John?
That on?
Yep, you're on.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. As you know, we awarded the contract for the Long Pond construction back in May. Construction is currently at 100% complete. The contract was bid as a unit price contract, meaning what gets installed above or below the bid estimates on specific units is what gets paid to the contractor. The authorizing resolution contains the language not to exceed, and I missed that early on in the game because I advertised it and bid it as a unit price job. The bid quantity for asphalt pavement to be purchased under the town contract was 2,300 tons. The total volume of asphalt that was purchased and put in place was 2,513.46 tons. When you take the $70 per ton cost and multiply the installed quantity in there, you're at a final cost of $175,910 as opposed to the bid cost of $161,000. Consequently, that represents, because it was bid as a not-to-exceed job, it represents a change of $14,910. Subsequent to the paving, and the paving occurred between June the 23rd and June the 26th. On Friday, June the 30th, after the roadsides adjacent to the new asphalt had been stabilized with grass seed and hay, we had a gully washer of a storm, and it washed out some of that material before the grass had an opportunity to grow and the roots to stabilize the newly placed soil. So Mr. Franzetti and I were there that Saturday morning. Mr. Simone and I were there the following, I think it was Monday or Tuesday after July the 4th. And so subsequent to that, what we agreed upon was that we needed to excavate along a uniform area along the washouts and in place riprap. In order to get that done in a timely fashion, I authorized the contractor, again at a unit price, for an additional 200 yards of earthwork cut, which was bid at, I forget what the number is, but that additional quantity represents a change of $5,000. So the total change in the contract is $19,910. The total cost of the contract with this change order is $883,305 and remains within the total budgeted cost, the bonded cost of $1.45 million. I reviewed this with Mike. The balance is somewhere, I think we're about $260,000 or $263,000 remaining underneath the funded amount, and what's left to do is basically place the top course essentially a year from now, next summer, and to survey the new road alignments, and we're both comfortable that we can do it for that. So that's the nature of this presentation. Questions?
Anybody have any questions for John on this item? It's under budget. It's still within the budget.
I spoke with John prior to this, because you know how I am with change orders. So, yep, I
Okay.
appreciate everything. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so that completes the agenda items for this town board work session for this evening. At this time, I'm going to open up the floor to any members of the public that are here now that would like to come up and speak on agenda items only. At this time, come on up. All right, we're going to move on to the open forum portion of the meeting. This is the new business part of the meeting where you could come up and you can address the town board on any questions, comments, concerns that you may have involving the town of Carmel. You must be a resident, a taxpayer, or business owner to address the board under the new business open forum portion of the meeting. Faith, do you want to take an opportunity now to introduce Mike? I did earlier.
She wanted to do it, so I said, oh, Susie kind of did it.
Susie, did you do it already?
She acknowledged that I was here. So.
I waved.
Faith, while you're here, do you mind
what-
talking about the fundraiser that you guys have organized and what you're working on?
Wait, you want to-
Somebody who's already been introduced. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but Faith Ann Butcher, Chairwoman of the Greater Mahopac Carmel Chamber of Commerce. As many of you know, because I've sent the email, the Chamber of Commerce is currently organizing a drive for, to help with hurricane relief with Irma, and we actually found out that Putnam County, Florida is actually having a lot of issues. They're flooded and they're in shelters and everything like that. So we actually are looking to help our sister community by having this drive and have the fun and have all the goods and everything go to Putnam County, Florida, which we're really excited about. We are planning on having we're filling the truck Friday afternoon. We're still going to continue raising funds, in which case the money is going through. Any money we get is actually going through Community Cares, because Community Cares is a 501c3. This way it's already automatically tax deductible, and then it's going to get donated directly to local boots on the ground charities that we know exactly what they're doing and everything like that, just like we would do here. We're not looking for like food or any of the clothing, because they get a lot of that stuff from people. That's like what people automatically want to give. We're looking for toiletries, diapers, wipes, animal pet supplies. So we're looking for dog foods and everything like that. Things that batteries, flashlights, things that they need for the long term to help get through this recovery process, but that, you know, most of us don't think of. And we will be accepting those.
Faith, when is the cutoff date when people can bring it to the chamber?
4
I'm
o'clock
assuming,
on
right?
Friday.
4 o'clock Friday?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're looking for.
It's also, I got an email from the schools, they're gonna be working in.
We're actually,
you know.
we're very fortunate. We're working with Putnam County, we're working with the town, which you guys have been great. We're working with the Mahopac and the Carmel school districts, and we're also working with all the other chambers of commerce within the county, which is great. So this has really become a collective project. It's nice when we can all work together towards something, and we hope that this can actually be something, you know, it's nice that 9/11 was an unfortunate day, but it was nice that we were able to do this in the spirit of Patriot Day, to have this project and move everything forward, and hopefully we can keep that spirit going. And that was kind of like the spirit that we did everything in.
Faith, what
So-
time's the truck leaving again?
We're starting to pack the truck at 4 o'clock on Friday,
Gotcha. Oh, so
in
then
front of the
once-
chamber office,
Once it's packed, that's when it'll take off?
more or less. I have no, you know, I can't tell the driver when they're going, but
Who's driving it down?
Rob DeLucia is driving
Lucia?
it down. And Rob actually had this idea while he was on his honeymoon in Maui. He called me up while he was on his honeymoon, and his first thing, I heard his voice, and I was like, does your wife know you're calling me? Because I was not, and he's like, yes, she's okay with it, and
That's
he's,
sweet.
he's coming, he actually came back this morning. He's leaving on Friday for a week, and he's actually gonna go help in the recovery process.
That's great.
So, you know, we're really proud of this.
I'll bring what we have here in the lobby, what people have donated in the box in the lobby.
Great.
I'll run it down to the chamber office.
We appreciate that.
I'll bring it down.
Okay.
If you need a hand loading the truck, I'll do that too.
No, absolutely, no, we'll send an email out encouraging
The
people. We're gonna
middle
need
school has
volunteers.
stuff. The middle school has stuff
Okay.
to be sent over.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm just, it's great that we're, like I said, we're able to do this. I mean, when everybody got hit with Sandy, we were very fortunate with what, you know, we were able to get and everything like that. So it's nice to be able to pay it forward every now and then. So,
Great.
all right, thank you.
Wonderful. All right, thank you, Faith. Yeah. Anybody else? New business, open forum portion, okay. There being none, we're going to go on to announcements that we have. Susie, you want to read the concert announcement?
Sure, yes. There is a fall concert series at the Mahopac Chamber Park on Saturdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is free. The next one is, what is today? September 13th, the Saint Band, which is a classic rock. And then September 23rd, Mark Berger and Ride, which is a deep country, folk songs, and more. If either of those dates, If it rains, the rain date's going to be September 30th. So come out, they're really nice out there, and, you know, you get some chicken or something from one of the restaurants, and you go there with your blanket or chairs, and it's something free for the residents, so please, you know, take advantage of it.
Okay, thanks, Sue.
All right.
John?
Guns and hoses.
Yes, I have a first responder appreciation, guns and hoses. It's a fun day of golf. The Mahopac Golf Course and Beach Club is hosting it. It's Monday, October 2nd. It's a 9:30 a.m. shotgun start. It's $70 per golfer, 18 holes of golf, and then it's going to be a lunch at 11 a.m. Around the turn once you come through the ninth hole. If you would like to participate again, October 2nd, Monday, 9:30 shotgun, $70 per golfer. Please contact Mahopac Golf Course, Gilbert at 845-628-9335, extension 301.
Great. Thanks, John. Jonathan?
Don't get too used to this, because we're not sure how many times we're going to have to announce it from here. Water meter readings are due no later than September 30th, 2017, and I say that because I know we are really advocating water meters, so we don't have to worry about this anymore. But until that time comes, you got to get your reading in so that it's accurate. You can call us at 628-1500, or you can also enter your readings through the town's website at carmelny.org. Again, it's extremely important that you supply us with your readings so that our billing is based upon the accurate usage for all properties connected, and that is due no later than September 30th.
More. All set, John? Yep. Okay.
That was
great.
it.
All right. Lake Mahopac Garden Club proudly presents Autumn Chores. And it's an NGC standard flower show. It's Friday, September 15th, so it's this Friday, September 15th, 2 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. And Saturday, September 16th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Mahopac Public Library, 668 Route 6, Mahopac. This is free and open to the public. It's a member of National Garden Clubs Incorporating, Central Atlantic Region, Federated Garden Clubs in New York State, and the 9th District. So Autumn Chores is going to be at the Mahopac Library this Friday, 2 to 4:45, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the library. For the Lake Mahopac Garden Club proudly presents the Autumn. All right, we will be meeting, not next Wednesday, but we'll be meeting on Tuesday, September 19th. So there's a change in our meeting date. Tuesday, November 19th, and the town board will be meeting in this room here at the meeting room at 7 p.m. So there's a change for Rosh Hashanah is next week. So we won't be meeting on Wednesday, we're meeting on the Tuesday. So we'll see everybody here next Tuesday, September 19th, for a town board voting meeting. We do not have executive session tonight, so we're going to close the town board meeting right from here, and we'll see everybody next week. I need a motion to close.
So be it.
Second. So motion to close by Councilman Lupinacci, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. See you next Tuesday. Be well.